All right, Candle Range Theory Trader back with you with another video on the Candle Range Theory Rangefinder Indicator. So let's not waste time and get into it. Disclaimer, if you think this indicator is going to put thousands of dollars in your pocket, don't bother. Nothing's perfect. This is just a piece of the puzzle. Okay, so this is just something that is designed to help you identify ranges faster. This indicator will point out the range candle in the 3x3 Candle Range Theory pattern. If you don't know what I mean when I say that, you're going to want to pause this video, go to the description and check out that training on that, the deep study one or the shorter one. Either way, the ranges, like I said, those links are in the description. Now, this indicator is best on the daily or 4-hour chart. You do not need it on any lower time frames. This is just to look for a trading range. That's it. All right. So this works with the 3x3 pattern, and this is going to be our reference image right here. Okay, 3 candles up, 2 candles down. This indicator is going to identify possible ranges, and it's going to have a red arrow appear, not this one, okay, I did that. A red arrow appear above a range that may be good for going short, okay, after the subsequent closes higher, okay, 1, 2 closes higher. This third candle will serve as the range, and then you're going to trade a reversal off that range's high. Now, for a long example, it's going to have the same thing, 1, 2, 3 candles down. You'll see a green candle on the range, and then your trading day or the trading next 4 hours you're going to trade will be the next one. And you just want to see a sweep below this candle's low and then close inside, and then expansion or distribution to the upside. That's what you're going to be looking for. So let's go to the chart. I'm going to show you now the indicator. The indicator is, you're going to look for this indicator. There we go. Okay, consecutive higher slash lower closings by Raul Joshi _2. Okay, to know you got it, when you search for it and click on it, or better yet, click on the About the Script, you should see this right here. That's like the reference image, and he gives a description and all that good stuff. Okay, so consecutive higher and lower closes. Now I need to show you the settings because the default settings do not work for what we're trying to do here. So once you add this indicator to your chart, you're going to want to, oops, I added it accidentally twice. So let me just bring up my template. There we go. All right, so when you go to the settings, click the gear icon. These are the settings. First, the input. For the consecutive higher values, for a buy signal, you're going to change both of these numbers to 3. And then what are we going to use? The close. Okay, use the close because we want to see consecutive higher values and consecutive lower values 3 times in a row. All right, so that's that, easy enough. Now this one, I had to do the inverse. So for the buy signal, I changed that to red, and to the sell signal, I changed that to green. But here's why. I wanted to see when there's a green arrow, that means this is a possible range that you can go long. So you're going to want the buy signal to appear as red, change the color to red, and have a down arrow. That's just what I did. Okay. And then for the sell signal, change it to green. I have an up arrow, and I got it below the bar and above the bar. So you can pause the video, just look at these settings and just do what I've done right here. And your chart should look like mine. Be sure to save the chart template. To do that, you just go to these 4 squares, hit save indicator template and name it. Okay, so that way you save your settings and you don't have to keep changing the settings every single time you use this indicator. Okay, so now that you've hopefully done that, let's go range shopping. So obviously not every signal that generates is going to be a valid range. So until you have this image of what the pattern should look like burned in your brain, we're going to compare it to our pattern, which is right here. Okay, this one for longs, this one for shorts. Okay, this one for longs, this one for shorts. So let's take a look at our first arrow. Let's just go to, I'll say this one. All right, this red arrow right here. Okay, so that means that this is a possible range we can go short. Sometimes it will not play out on the next day, but this is a valid range, and let's look at why. So we mark this range as high, and we mark this range as low. Now here's the thing. Now first off though, let's do this. Let's compare it to, like, let's pretend this day just ended. Let's start the new. Okay, here we go. All right, so let's pretend this is on Wednesday, okay? So let's look at this. Okay, so the indicator has fired once Wednesday has ended. So let me look at my patterns. Do I see three strong bearish candles, each closing higher than the other? 1, 2, 3 to the upside. I'll go back to my chart. 1, 2, 3 to the upside, each close being higher. Yes, 3 subsequent closes. That's why the indicator has fired. That means that I can go short above this candle's range. But if I go to the next day, I barely got a little price action. So that was on Thursday. But Friday, that's where the movement was. I don't know if this was news related or what. It probably was. I think this was non-farm. But either way, let's take a look at Friday and try to find our trading opportunity. So let me go to the 5-minute chart. I'll bring up my mark levels indicator. So this makes this a little more faster here. Yeah, this had to be non-farm. That was at 8:30. So, but just for the sake of the video, we'll go ahead and go through this real quick. So here is the money candle right here that makes the high of the day. And then the break of the money candle did come. It did retrace a little bit. So your entry could have been right here at, say, 5:50 or so a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then price did tank substantially. Okay, but that came from identifying, let me go back to the daily chart now. That came from identifying the range first. Okay, identifying a tradable range is mission number 1. So let me get rid of that. And we'll go back a little bit because interestingly enough, I see another range right here. We will mark the high. We will mark the low. Now, as well though, let's compare. Let me do the replay. Remember, we come to the chart fresh. All right, we don't have the benefit of seeing how the trade played out. We want to be able to spot these in real time. So here we go. Does this for a long possible, see the green arrow right there? The indicator fired to say, hey, this might be a tradable range. Well, let's make sure. I go back to my patterns. I look for the long. Do I see 3 strong red closes? 1, 2, 3. Close here. Not exactly strong, but this low did close below it, and the third one comes here. So yes, this is a valid range. This was on Tuesday. Wednesday gave a small little poke below, but then Thursday? Yeah, Thursday did give the expansion to the upside a little bit. So even this trade right here, if you'd have held this overnight, let's just say you got in around here, that was good for about 40 pips or so. So you could have got possibly 1 to 4 on that one with a 1 to 4 stop loss or 1 to 4 risk to reward. I'm curious if Friday played out. I don't know. Let me see. Friday may have given you a little bit more before it did retrace. So either way, but 1 to 4 would have been more than fine to get out of that. So, but again, it starts with the range. So that's the benefit of the indicator. It's going to show you automatically on the 3x3 pattern. Hey, look at this. It might help you. So let's remove these drawings and let's check out a couple more pairs and that'll be it. But like I said, the indicator doesn't give you entry signals. It just tells you, hey, pay attention to this daily range, this daily high and daily low. Now let's take a look at one that doesn't meet our criteria. Even though it does play out, it's not something I'd be looking for. This one right here. See this green arrow? Let me go to the replay. And you got, let's just do these. The green arrow is right here saying, hey, pay attention to this range. But I got 1 close, 2, 3. Are these strong closes like my pattern shows? No. Okay, so even though it paid out, I wouldn't trade this. Okay, yes, it did pay out because it did go below the range. That's going to happen. But for the sake of consistency, I don't trade these types of ranges because to me, the price action is just not strong enough. I like strong price action to the downside in order for it to reverse. And as you can see here, it just wicked it again and then spiked back up. That would have been good for about 50 pips or so if you'd have caught the perfect bottom on that and rode it up. So again, it did pay out. It's just not exactly what I'm looking for. I try to keep it as exact as possible. That way I train my brain to only look at the same thing over and over. So let me go to one more pair and then that'll be enough for that. Let me see, that was dollar. Let's try Euro Aussie. All right, so we're back on the daily. And actually, I didn't do the 4 hour, so let's do 4 hour. Let's see. So for 4 hour, it's the same principle. Here's one that didn't. Yeah, just to show this isn't perfect. We got a green arrow here to say, hey, this could be a tradable range. I look at my pattern here. 1, 2, 3 to the downside. 1, 2, 3 to the downside. That qualifies. You did get a little bit of action here. So if you'd have just traded this one candle, you would have got around 30 pips or so. But then price did come back. Okay, this would have been a loser if you held on to it, or possibly a stop out for break even. Okay. Let's see. Let's try to find another one here. This one here again, we can tell it's saying, hey, you might want to go short here on this range, but look at these preceding green candles. Do those look like this? Oops, sorry, this? With these strong closes? No, they do not. So I'm not trading that. I'm not looking for dojis pretty much. Like, multiple dojis don't appeal to me. I'm looking for something like, yeah, I don't, it's there, but I'm not a big fan. But something like this. All right, something like that. You do the replay. Only reason I'm not a big fan is because it took too long to play out. But this range did, if you'd have went long below this range, you probably would have got stopped out here on this Tuesday. But this Wednesday, if you would have got the low of this day and rode it up, that would have been a substantial gain for, let's just say you got in around there. Yeah, about 80, 90 pips, right? So sometimes the range, if the range doesn't get closed below substantially, it can still be a valid range. But I don't like waiting. This is Monday, so you're waiting 1, 2, 3 days for this trade to play out. That's just not how I trade. You can trade that way, that's fine, but I don't. I like one after the other. Okay, so let me try to find one more. Let's see. And that was a long example. And I'm sorry, that was actually the 4-hour chart. I do apologize for that. I thought I was still on the daily chart. So this range was created at 9 o'clock on Tuesday, but the trade wasn't until, let's see. Yeah, 9 o'clock p.m. on Monday. And then the trade, okay, so it wasn't that bad, actually. I'm sorry, it was only one day. It played out the next day. So this would have been valid, actually. I am so sorry. Yeah, that works. That actually works. But I still like for my ranges to be next to each other. But there will be times where if you want to be flexible, if you catch this low, this was Monday's low, and then catch this one here below that. If you'd got in on Tuesday's low for USA session, that would have been a good trade. It really would have. So let's see here. Let me get out of this, and I'll do, what was that, a long? So let's find a good short example, and that's it. And then you just need to backtest the indicator for yourself. See if you can find some decent trades. Let's do pound New Zealand. And what I say, a short? Yeah, let's try to find a short range. Yeah, here's one. Well, but no, those are dojis. Never mind. You got plenty to choose from, though. But again, they're not all made equal. See, so these are smaller body candles. It did work out, this range here. It's just I want something a little more substantial. Notice here, too, these small bodies, small body, small body. So, yeah, this gave you an arrow. But because of these small bodies, I'm not trading that range. Because of these small bodies, I'm not trading that range. This one looks tempting, and it did pay out. This is the 4-hour chart. It did close above it here and then came down. So you'll have stuff like that where, the range gets broken a little bit and then price comes back down, So this, to me, was a valid range. Let's see, I closed below by about 7 pips. That's not too bad. So sometimes the rule of thumb is 10 pips. If it breaks out of the range by 10 pips, you go ahead and get out. But if you would have got a good enough entry above this range, because you're trading above the range, if you're looking for a money candle, you could have got in here or here, and all that would have been yours. And we marked the range bottom. See CRT low right there. I'm sorry, this is the high. Yeah, right there. So, that was what, Friday to Monday? Yeah, so I mean, that paid out pretty good. That would have been good for 60 pips to the bottom of the range or so. So that would have been a good one. So anyway, so that's the main point of this is just to show you ranges, okay? But still, you have to compare it to these patterns, though. Just because you see the indicator doesn't mean it's time to trade. Okay, you need to compare it to these patterns, and then it's like I said, the only job of this indicator that I just showed you is to bring attention to certain ranges. So we'll lastly, before we wrap this up, let's take a look and see what active ranges are in play right now. So let me remove that. I'm back on, and I'm just for the daily. Let's see any recent ones that may have panned out rather. So you got one here. I'm actually in this trade right now, believe it or not. But this was a good daily range to me here. I got a piece of this one, but I'm looking for a continuation trade on that. So we'll see how that works out. This was a great range right here. Nothing currently though. The last range was here. See, look at that. That could have been yours right there. It's telling you the ranges. You see the power of this? Look at that. That range played out. This one, not so much because price didn't go back above this high. So yes, it went to the downside, but you'll see that too. Same thing here. This was, it's giving you a sign to say, hey, you might want to consider going long, but the price action just didn't follow through. Now this was a great one though. I actually took this trade. So this range here held out because notice how it went below the low and came back up. That's the price action I like to see on the very next day. Right there. Once I see a money candle break below the low on this one on the 5-minute chart, I'm in. So that one worked out. That gave you a good range. Nothing on that one recently. Okay, so this one right here is saying, hey, you might want to consider this one. So we look at the prior 2 candles. Okay, remember, just forget everything else. 1, 2. Probably not. I'd like to see a little more action to the downside. It could pay out, but I don't know. Okay. Nothing there in terms of a short, not to me. Let me see. No, not feeling that one. Nothing there. Nothing there. This one, possibly. So I mean, it's either going to break out or not. Like I said, this is one of the ones where you use like I said, the 10 pip rule, or this move possibly could already be over. That might have been the best move to the downside you're going to get. You never know. Nothing there. I'll just do one more. This video is long enough. And yeah, we had a good range here. All right, let's see. So that one. There you go. Okay, because you got, this range here. Sometimes the other candle will be slightly smaller. You play it by ear. But because I would take this, I would be interested in this one because of the strength of this middle candle. I need to see one that's at least strong, right? See how much farther it closed above this high from here to here, and then from here to here. So obviously, the price can't continue up in a straight line forever. And this was on Friday, and it just tanked. So, like I said, this indicator can help you find tradable ranges. So throw it on your chart, experiment with it. If you forgot the settings, rewind the video. But I appreciate your time and attention, and thanks for watching, and have a great rest of your day. Take care.